All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
And we are back with more News Talk. So glad you could join us for Hour 2 of the Marc Patrone radio program. And I am joined by Miles Kristen from Madison, Wisconsin. He is with Wisconsin International Radio. Always great to have Miles on the show. Hello, Miles.
Hello.
All right, let's talk impeachment. It happened to nobody's surprise. But oddly enough, the Democrats have delayed submitting the articles of impeachment against Donald Trump to the Senate, where presumably he would undergo a trial, and then a decision would be made as to whether he would be removed from office. What's with the delay?
I heard somebody say last night they actually thought that it could be delayed till after the election. I don't see how you could delay something like that for 10, 11 months. But, they don't have the 67 votes needed. And it's kind of like, yeah, you impeached him with the House. It looks good for, but it doesn't really mean anything. One analogy I kind of thought of is like, it reminds me of like maybe when I was in my earlier 20s and I'd ask some girl for her number and then she'd give me a fake number or something. Like, it's not real. It's not going anywhere.
Well, the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, has said, well, we're talking about a partisan Senate here. We're talking about people who side with the president, who have already made up their minds. But, I mean, you look at the makeup of the House right now, and how partisan is that? So I don't know the degree to which that holds much water in terms of an argument.
I mean, I don't understand, like, in 2006, 2007, beginning of 2008, when people wanted Bush and Cheney impeached, and they actually they got the majority of the House and Senate in late 2006. So all of 2007, all of 2008, up until that election, they had the votes to impeach him or impeach Bush and Cheney, but they said, "Oh, well, we don't have the supermajority needed," and they didn't even try, and it doesn't make. I know I talk about it a lot, but the fact that they were willing to allow George Bush to do all the things he did, but then Trump, they want to impeach him for a lot less.
And the numbers suggest that Americans are not too pleased with the fact that this impeachment has gone ahead. Even CNN now admits that, in fact, Trump's numbers have been strengthening and surging after impeachment.
Yeah, and, last night they had a presidential debate, and I think they limited it to something like 6 or 7 candidates. The
Democrats,
Warren, Sanders, Buttigieg, Biden, Amy Klobuchar somehow. I don't know how she's in the race at all. And then Tom Steyer, the one of the 2 billionaires who recently entered the race. The other one, Bloomberg, is actually now in 5th place, which is just insane.
Well, but he's got all the money, right? He and Steyer, I guess, have all the cash. So they can spend as much as they want.
Well, one of them's worth, I want to say, about like $1 or $2 billion, and the other one's worth about $50 billion. So Steyer, I want to say, is in like 9th place or something like that. You
wanted to talk a little bit in the time that we've got you on the Patriot Act and the ongoing support. Now, talk a little bit about what the Patriot Act means to the average American in terms of infringing on constitutional rights and all that.
Sure. I mean, in the wake of 9/11, the United States government passed this Patriot Act, which basically circumvents all of our civil liberties, all of our freedoms. So it says the government can spy on us and creates this whole entire new, people talk about the deep state a lot these days, but it's kind of what it did is it really made what I would call the shadow government to have power over everybody, and it's been renewed many, many times. And just recently, the Democratic Congress and Senate voted to reauthorize the Patriot Act, including all the people running for president, all the senators, that is. They voted present. Tulsi, I want to say, was one of the few people who voted against this new Patriot Act. And so this whole thing that Trump's a threat to our democracy and our freedoms, and there's maybe some truth to that, but the Democrats are just as bad when it comes to our civil liberties, our freedoms, and in the state of Wisconsin, My Democratic governor just signed a bill saying that if you protest pipelines or energy companies in the state of Wisconsin, it can be considered a felony, like a simple misdemeanor trespassing. Trespassing could be a felony. Things like the Standing Rock protest, if that had happened in Wisconsin, that would be a felony. And you can feel however about energy issues and protests, but to take what's just a simple misdemeanor and then make it where somebody will no longer have the right to ever own a firearm or ever vote. I mean, being a felon in the United States is a huge problem. And so, on a state level, the Democrats are taking away our freedoms, our civil liberties. On the national level, they don't care about the Constitution. And I know I'm rambling, but another thing they also passed a few years ago was what's called the National Defense Authorization Act, which says Americans can be indefinitely detained without trial or charges, and that was done under Obama and then again under Trump. But this idea that, like, Trump's this massive threat to freedom and liberty, and it's like the Democrats are burning the Constitution just as badly, if not worse.
It's amazing. We see a lot of the attacks on freedoms on this side of the border as well, in terms of firearms rights, in terms of speech. We've got a prime minister who wants to police Facebook posts and other social media posts. So it's really scary, the onslaught against freedom in this country, and it's happening in the United States, and it's very troubling. People should wake up to this.
I think one thing we could probably agree on is that 10, 15 years ago, you had the government creating censorship and taking away a lot of our rights and freedoms. And nowadays, it seems like the college kids and the social justice warriors want to censor us and take away our freedoms. And it's like, you got to have free debate. You got to have free expression. Mark, you and I probably don't agree on every issue, but by having a dialogue, we can relate to each other better, and people can find the commonality of, like, what do we agree on? I do these things for the homeless, and I'm going to be going out giving free coffee tomorrow for the homeless, and I'm going to probably have somebody who's more right-wing and somebody who's more left-wing joining me because they both agree on that issue.
Yeah, and you can have discussions. It's amazing. It's so sad what happened to the brainwashing of our young people. You go onto campuses, and they are the most Stalinist places on the planet. I bet, it would be like shock. It would shock people in the old Soviet Union just how rabid some of these people are against free speech. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we wish you a very Merry Christmas. I know you've got to run, so you got a lot of stuff on the go.
Merry Christmas to you as well. And, people up there in Canada, check out Wisconsin International Radio, and I'd love to hear about, the news stories going on in your area. Well,
you can have me on the show anytime you like. Just let me know. Text me or email me anytime you want a perspective from north of your border. But all the best. It's been really great having you on the show, and we look forward to more such chats in the new year.
Will do. Thank you very much.
Miles Kristen coming to us from Wisconsin.